Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jade and today I am doing a little tag video for you guys. I don't do tag videos that often, but I kind of want to start doing them more because they give me the ability to show you guys books that I don't get to talk about for like certain reasons, I guess. They just bring up different books and I think that's kind of cool. And I have a couple tags I wrote down like a year and a half ago that I never have done, so I decided to film one of those today. And the tag I'm doing today is called the Bookstore Tag. So the whole like point of the tag is like you're walking into a bookstore and like picking out books, and then kind of based on that idea you're picking books. So you'll get it once I start the tag. Let's just get into it. The first one is pick a book with the perfect beginning, which has to do with walking into the bookstore because it always has that wonderful feeling. And I don't have a book for this because I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect beginning for a series, because you really don't know what's happening with the series, so you can't pick it up and be like, oh my god, like this is the perfect beginning. There's a lot of beginnings that can draw you in and things like that, which I think is really awesome. But I'm just gonna do one sort of based on my how a book made me feel when I first picked it up. And for that one, I'm doing The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. I don't have it with me right now because I'm in the middle of moving, so I don't have it, so I'll just have a picture up on the screen. But it's the second book to the Lost Hero series, and it's the first time we see Percy. And so just picking up that book after waiting so long for it to be released and reading from his perspective again, I think is kind of like a perfect beginning, because it's just like the amount of emotions and feelings involved with it were really awesome. So that's the book I picked for that one. Then the next one is sometimes they don't have a book you're looking for. What's an underrated read? So for this, I picked a book that I actually read recently because I think more people really need to read it because it's such a great book. And for this one, I picked Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. I read this in the month of May, and I absolutely loved it. It's not what I expected this book to be. I think it's really surprising. I think it's really different. I don't think I've ever read a book that's quite like this and has the same concepts. And I think a lot more people should pick it up and read it just because it's such a different experience and it's very well written. This book is from the perspective of 3 different girls, and it takes place on this island called Sawkill Rock where girls have been disappearing for decades. And there are a lot of different perspectives on the disappearance. So the 3 main characters have different involvements in the disappearances. There is Val, who is the queen bee of the school, and there is a lot more going on in her life than expected. There is also Marin, who's the new girl. She just moved to the island with her mom and sister after a tragedy struck their life. And there's Zoe, who's kind of like an outsider in this perfect little town, and who had tragedy strike her when someone close to her ended up disappearing on the island. So they all kind of get involved in this mystery of the disappearing girls and what's going on. And I gotta tell you, not what I expected in any way. I'd go into it without knowing it because it's a good surprise, but it's a lot. It's a lot, got to say. Wow, I love this book though. I really want more people to read it. So the next question sort of thing is that moment when you finally find the book you've been looking for when you're in a bookstore. And so you're supposed to pick up a book you waited months to read. And for this, I had to go with Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I got this book last summer and didn't read it till 1 or 2 months ago, and that was just way too long to wait to read this because I wanted to read this book for so long because I knew I would love it so much, but it was never the book to pick up at the time, and it finally was, and I'm very glad I finally picked it up. It's an amazing book. It's about this school that was opened by this really rich eccentric guy, and the point of the school is to have kids that are very dedicated to a certain thing be able to learn and have an education plan that works for them, that's different than normal schooling. So an example like this is if you're a really great actor, you can go to the school, or like a singer, or just like anything that normal education doesn't help you develop. And the main character in this book actually is training to be a detective at the school. And the reason this also fits well with the school is because when the school opened up, the guy who opened up the school, his wife and daughter went missing and were presumed to be killed by the people that took them for ransom. And the main character wants to solve what happened and who took his wife and daughter and everything surrounding that mystery. So there's a good mix of past and present in this book, which I really, really enjoyed. You see the disappearance and what happened, what led up to it, and all that things. And then you see her unraveling a lot of the mysteries of the school, but also dealing with her own life as well, which I very much enjoyed. And I just really, really love this book. The second book came out, and I need to pick that up sometime soon, but it's a really wonderful book. It's also blurbed by John Green, and it says intricately plotted, compulsively readable, which is just like you have to read it because duh. The next question thing is the moment you find a book with the perfect cover, so you have to pick a cover by. And I got a book a couple months ago that I thought worked really well for this just because I love the cover. There's so many books I have with beautiful covers, but I just went with this because the cover is why I picked it up. And that's The Love That Split the World by Emily Henry. And this is the cover, and I just think it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful and different cover, and I really loved like the color scheme and everything. It's not like, to me, there's a lot more covers that I think are beautiful for different reasons, and this one is, there was just something about the color scheme that attracted me, I guess, which is kind of interesting. But I actually haven't read this book yet. I'm planning on picking it up this month. Hopefully I can get to it, so I'm pretty excited about that. But this is definitely a cover buy for me. This book is, I guess I should say what it's about. I feel like it's something you sort of are supposed to go into without knowing a lot, and that's what makes it more interesting. But it's about these two people that meet and fall in love, and then the world starts to change and be messed up around them. Like, places disappear or new things pop up that weren't there before, and everyone acts like it's normal. And that's also just a really interesting concept, because, like, what is happening, you know? Next thing says, when you spend all your money on a book that made you suffer. So you have to pick a book that made you suffer, but you're happy about it. And for this one, I actually want to go with a whole series. And I decided to go with all of the Percy Jackson series, specifically the Lost Hero series. Like, just all of Rick Riordan's books. Oh my god. I just broke a bracelet. That's upsetting. But anyways, all of Rick Riordan's books in that world have made me suffer, but I've loved it, if that makes sense. The Hidden Oracle series with Apollo that's recently came out also does it. The original Percy Jackson series, Lost Hero series, they all just like really get to me and make me feel a lot of emotions, and I really enjoy them because they're so powerful and so interesting. And I think they've touched the lives of so many people, and I really love them, and they have made me suffer a lot, but I'm so happy that I picked them up, and I want to reread them, and I want to keep like reading them throughout my life. So that's sort of why I picked that. And then the last question is like walking out of a bookstore and like you're super happy about it. You're supposed to pick a book with the perfect ending. And I'm lucky because I just recently read a book that I believe has the perfect ending. And that is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the 4th book to the Raven cycle, which is about this group of kids that are from very different lives, or very different personalities, but end up being very great friends. And they're on the quest to find this dead Welsh king, because when they wake him, they will get a wish. And that's kind of how it starts. And what I love about the series is as it advances, you learn so much more about the world, and it becomes more and more magical. So it's just really different because it starts off kind of normal, like the first 2 books. Like the second one, you start to see more of what the magical system is and like how crazy and like hard to understand it is, and the characters feel that way as well. Like they can't wrap their heads around what's happening. And as the books go on, the magical world expands and expands, and you see how much it touches of every day. And this one is like absolutely full of that, and like full of the craziness of the magic system and what it means. And this book also just, Maggie Stiefvater is an amazing author. I really believe that, and I believe that she writes so many profound things in her book that are just like, oh my god, like I need to reread that. So I felt that a lot with this book as well, as it like kind of opened up about a lot more of the world, and I really loved it. And I honestly think this is like the perfect end to a series. I don't think I've ever read a better end to the series that like I'm not upset that it's over. In this one I was like, this is like good. Like the characters can like, it's just a good ending, I have to say. I just don't want to spoil anything, so I'm gonna stop. But that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this tag. It's a little bit different from other tags, but I thought it was kind of fun. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books and like agree with what I chose, or if you haven't read any of these books and like if you want to. I like inspiring people to read new books because I always get inspired to read books by other people and end up loving them, so I think it's really awesome. But I love you all so very much. I hope you guys like this. If you did, leave me a like down below, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye bye!